everyone. Welcome to another edition of Coaching Wisdom Podcast. Today with us, we have Cameo Roberson. She is the founder, CEO, Chief Coaching Officer of Atlas Spark Consulting. Cameo, welcome to the podcast. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about your business?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Charles. It's great to be here with you and your community today. So my name is Cameo Roberson, and I am a business coach and operations strategist for financial advisor businesses. What we do is we perform operational makeovers on these businesses to help leaders get clarity on their business vision. What are you building and why? Moving your ideas from concept to profit, escaping burnout, and saving time. And I've been doing this work for about 3.5 years under my own umbrella after spending over 2 decades working for wealth management and financial planning firms in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Cool. So tell us, as financial advisors, as I told you pre-podcast, I work with a bunch of financial advisors. Most of them use Facebook ads for lead gen. Some of them use even LinkedIn outreach and so forth. What exactly do you advise them to do in their business? Do you start on the sales side of things, on the customer success / client service side of things? What do you typically advise them? What are their main problems?
Yeah, that's a great question, Charles. So if you think about any business owner, in particular financial advisor businesses, there are a number of things that they have to take care of, right? All the client-facing activities, and then all the stuff behind the scenes, right? The things the clients don't actually see, but is necessary for really maintaining a sustainable practice. So what we do at Atlas Park Consulting is really a holistic view of their practice from the top down across 5 key areas. So business strategy and planning, what are you building and why, making sure that you're on the right path. Your business development plan, which goes into what you were just sharing about lead gen. What's your goal, short-term, long-term? What's your client onboarding process look like? As well as what kind of technology you're leveraging, and then teams. As firms grow, you need more people and teams to help you get things done. And so we really take a big picture look at the firm to figure out what's needed, what solutions we can bring in to help optimize the practice.
In the first place, why did you choose financial advisors and say not realtors?
This was my corporate experience. I spent over 20 years working for these firms in what I call the client service trenches, those areas between the financial advisors, the custodians like a Charles Schwab or a TD Ameritrade, as well as clients. So this is what I lived. This is what I lived, and this is what I breathed for such a long time. And what I found is that advisors that are really less than 10 in size really needed help in this area. You think about, what can you do to sustain your business? You got to work on it. And these advisors were so busy working with clients that working on it was often an afterthought. And so I saw an opportunity in a niche to work with advisors, and here I am.
That makes sense. Let me refine my question. Most financial advisors, if you're ambitious, you'll want to grow up some kind of office, even some kind of franchise, I guess, in some cases. Why did you decide to become a coach and not, grow your own financial advisor business?
I actually thought about it. I thought about becoming a client-facing advisor and had gone on an education track to pursue that. Was always really passionate about good financial literacy and education. But honestly, Charles, I hit a lot of roadblocks in aspiring to get to that level. And I had to really have a moment where I said, okay, Cameo, what is it that you actually want to do? What are you going to have the most impact in? So although I'm still very passionate about good financial advice and education, I had a lot of roadblocks to getting to the next level, and had to have that moment where I said, you know what, I can be just as impactful helping these advisors build their businesses. And so that's what I did.
Interesting. And in terms of being in the Silicon Valley, if you can say, in San Francisco, what is the difference in between this territory, let's say, and if I'm more Central America or on the East Coast? Do you advise a bit of tech entrepreneurs and very wealthy tech executives in the Bay Area, let's say?
So is your question, are you asking, do some of my clients serve high tech
True.
clients
Yeah.
or?
I mean,
Okay.
did you used to serve these clients, and do your actual clients serve that? My question is, how is it different to be a financial advisor on the West Coast, let's say, versus other, and especially in that area, you know, it's a very specific tech hub with a lot of tech made fortunes in San Francisco. So how is the environment there different than other places in the US? And how do you have to react as a financial advisor to adapt to these circumstances?
Got it. Okay, to answer the first part of your question, in my experience, did I work with a lot of high tech clients working in the San Francisco Bay Area? I absolutely did. The firms that I was at often catered to high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals who worked for a lot of the, Silicon Valley companies. And then secondarily, do my clients serve some of those same individuals? Absolutely. And because a lot of my clients are virtual, especially in light of COVID, they can expand their reach and work with clients all over the place. And so they're not just limited to their, geographic region.
And how do you have to adapt your style of financial advising to these clients? Because most of the time they're very savvy. Most of the time they are interested in alternative investments rather than, say, real estate. Although I would be surprised, but younger generations, you know, they will often ask you about crypto and so forth. How did you guys adapt it to
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I will say, in my experience working in corporate as well as with my clients now, high net worth investors are very savvy. They're highly educated and they want to have access to often highly complex investment options, right? So
Okay.
a firm who's looking to work with high net worth or ultra high net worth folks, they should really think about, does their service offering match what that client needs? So beyond just, basic stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, but looking into private equity and other crypto options as well for those investors who are looking to really broaden their opportunity to invest in different things. And each firm is going to be different. There's some firms that are going to cater to that demographic of clients. And then there's others that may cater to, a different subset of clients. It really boils down to what kind of firm are you building? Who do you want to work with? And how are your services best aligned to meet the needs of that intended target group of clients?
How are financial investors in 2022 adapting to this down market and the recession that's coming? Is that affecting their business? How do they somewhat pivot from the style of doing things, like there was no tomorrow in 2020? The packages coming left and right, and the free money been spent. How is that being felt this year? The change, and what was that precise change in their ways of advising their clients?
Yeah, we've been through a lot in the past 2.5 years, from one extreme to the
Oh
next,
yeah.
right? So, from a small business perspective, my clients are absolutely looking at ways to preserve cash flow because investments are down. If they're billing on AUM, that revenue is down for them as well. They're also taking a look at their expenses, right? Where can they cut the fat? There are some opportunities for them to consolidate things on their end, as well as training their clients. If they've done a good job pre pandemic, right? They've trained their clients on dealing with market volatility. And these things happen. Everything can't always go up. And so, advisors who've taken the time to really build that into their service model and train their clients are probably experiencing not as many phone calls from their clients, not as many emails because they've trained them. Advisors who haven't done that may be experiencing an increased number of phone calls and emails and even text messages, right?
Yeah,
And so from that
that's bad.
perspective, right.
I'm
So
laughing
from that,
because it's like I train your clients. It's funny because that's literally what you need to do. You know, tell your clients like, look, the more peace, the more quietness I have in my mind, the better decisions I can take. You know, and don't disrupt me. Apart from having a life, you know, and managing your stress as an entrepreneur. So that's why I'm
mhm.
smiling.
Yeah, it's the absolute truth. And so, with that same token of training your clients, then the advice extends to the client as the business owner, right? So, it's like
Mm.
everything the advisor themselves is doing hopefully they're also sharing those same things with their business clients as well to
Mhm.
help them mitigate and deal with this, pending
Mhm.
recession in our hands.
Yeah. Say I'm a hedge fund manager and I make up for a huge loss in my clients. Most of the time, I will have to resign or retire in some shape and form. Say I'm a financial advisor and I lose a huge lump sum of money for my client. What do I do? Can I still win him back? What do I do?
Well, I'd have to ask a couple of questions. Is the loss in assets due to market volatility? Is
Yes.
it
But
something?
I mean,
Okay.
it's even that, like if me, Charles, if I would be a financial advisors, I'd be top of the top, and still that wouldn't be excusable. I would have to predict this down market.
Yeah, I'd have to think about, ask the question, what else contributed to the loss? Were you overexposed in a certain
Hmm.
asset class? Is there, some potential negligence
Hmm.
on your part? And that's why it's so important from like an operations perspective when you're dealing with clients and you're investing money to have an investment policy statement on
Okay.
file for that client so that you've decided in advance how to invest and allocate their portfolio. So if
Okay.
something does happen, right, that document, and if you followed it, right, if you follow that document, could help, support your case for staying in the market or getting out of the market. And nobody has a crystal ball, right? Nobody knows which way the market is going to go. And there are some instances where
Except Mr.
clients are very
Buffett.
adamant. What was that?
Except Mr. Buffett and his little friend Charlie Munger.
Yes. And
But
so
even them,
you
yeah.
really, it's can be a really difficult situation, but this is why it's so important for advisors to think about having, all their processes and procedures in place to deal with situations like this as
Okay, so
best they
that
can.
that would be a contract, I would guess, saying that if we go down 20%, this will happen. Is that it, or
Yeah.
okay?
I've seen instances with my clients and corporate experience where the advisor will explain to the client, this is what could happen in a ideal situation. This is the max loss that you could experience in a down market, so that that information is shared in advance. And then the investment policy statement is a legal agreement that the client often, will sign and say, yes, this is the portfolio allocation I want to go with. These are the measures I want to take. And then you have that signed by both the advisor and the client in advance. So that's more of a operational thing,
Yeah,
but it's important
super important.
because it's super important. And even from a liability perspective, making sure that you're doing what you said you would do in your client engagement letter, you just want to make sure that you have those bases covered, which extends into you being a prudent business owner, right? We all having business owners should have some level of insurance, and this is a form of that.
Yeah, and I was laughing a bit again because I know that people get crazy with their money, and most of, well, and not most, depending on who you accept, which I think is a part of the answer to that question, filtering your clients. But I want to hear your take, obviously, on it. Say the client signed the contract, right, and it's the emotional type, has a small business, say a trucking company, and he's really pissed, and he's like, yeah, I don't read contract, I just trust a good old handshake. And now he calls me and he starts screaming at me. What do I do as a financial advisor? How do I manage my emotions and get us back on track?
That's a great question. Well, first of all, I don't condone any clients getting disrespectful with advisors or support staff. So the advisor themselves would need to take control of the conversation and say, "Hey, Mr. and Mr. Smith,
Mhm.
I understand your feelings right now, but let's step back from this and try to look at things objectively to
Mhm.
come up with the best solution here." And then what you want to do is all that supporting documentation that you had the client sign at the beginning of the engagement, you want to remind them of that. And if you've done your due diligence, you have those documents to remind them of what they agreed to. It's not your fault if they didn't read the contract, right?
Mhm. Just make sure that
But
they read
that's
it,
how I
and
would
that,
handle
yeah,
that
I would say,
situation.
like, walk them through the contract, right? Like the big lines, and put the emphasis on the lines that can be subject to like emotional outbursts. The toughest lines, let's say, the toughest conditions. Then and I think people can gain a lot of value and trust by being upfront, and they can even close more clients by doing that, surprisingly enough, just because it shows
Absolutely.
that they're like super upfront. So that's something that we teach in sales, and that most entrepreneurs underlook. But just also tell us about a bit more about screening clients, because I was hearing, small business. I never really liked the word small business. It kind of pertains to staying small and, not doing much. And also it rings, like owner of a department store on the corner, brick and mortar, typical mom and pop shop. And to me, these guys have never been good clients. I mean, that's my opinion. What do you think about filtering your clients and really hitting the clients that will pay you best, but also give you the less headaches possible?
Yeah, I think that's a spot on question. And it's something that as business owners grow becomes more and more important because you don't want to build a firm with people that you really don't enjoy working with or who aren't ideal clients. And so every firm owner should really think about criteria that's important to them in terms of finding those best fit clients. And this is an area that I often have discussions with my own clients. What's their of course their financial situation, why are they coming to you now, what life event has triggered them, have they ever worked with a financial advisor before, tell me about a situation where someone didn't agree with you. These are all the types of questions that you can ask to dig into the character of that potential client. You can also do
Psychometrics.
social media. Yeah, you can also do social media research on that
Yep.
individual, check out their LinkedIn profile to get a sense of who they are. Because at the end of the day, in my family, my grandmother used to always tell us all money isn't good money. And so
She
you
was
want to
right.
really think about is this something or someone that I want to work with? Is this amount of money going to be worth it? Because I've seen situations where the headache is just it's way too much and
Oh
it's
yeah.
just not worth it.
So you had a very smart grandma. So I call it Zen money. Like I only accept Zen money nowadays. So I make sure to first, yeah, filter my clients right and make sure that they agree with some specific conditions, not oversell them on anything. Like back in days when I started, used to listen to Grant Cardone a lot saying overpromise and overdeliver. This equation is good when you remove the overpromise. So you just
Yes.
want to,
100%.
yeah, I mean it's very catchy, right? It's perfect for social media, but in real life it doesn't work that much. So I've learned
No, it
to
doesn't.
promise something, and I don't even promise results nowadays. It's like, yeah, I can book you around 2 to 5 meetings a month, let's say, estimate, and this is not rock solid. Shit can happen. But yeah, like I think it's making things clear, and then yeah, focusing on over delivering and adapting with this market because it's ever changing, and it's very complex. We've
Yep.
got like 3 minutes left. So I want to ask just a couple more questions, maybe focus a bit more on the HR side of things. Saying that I'm Charles, I'm in the Bay Area. I'd focus obviously, on, tech moguls. I'd want to hook them up and financially advise them. That would be my niche. And I want to build my team. I want to build an empire of a financial advising firm. How do I get the best players on board?
Yeah, how to get the best players on board, I think it goes back to the vision of your company, right? You want to be able to convey the vision of your company as clearly as possible to any potential new hires. That's the first thing. The second thing is you want to have a very clear job description for that individual, right? So that they know exactly what they're going to be doing on your team.
Mhm.
Thirdly, I'd say if you want to really grow to enterprise level, is you want to have a very clear career ladder, right? So if
Okay.
somebody is coming in more of a junior role,
Mhm.
what's the career trajectory to get them up to, say, a lead advisor in a number of years? Your top talent is going to respect you highly for having that in place because you've thought about them not only for today, but for tomorrow. And
Okay.
that's an also great way to retain top talent because what I've seen in the industry is top talent gets bored if you don't have a plan for them.
Oh
They
yeah.
have a plan for themselves, but if leadership doesn't, they'll leave and they'll go
Mm.
and find another. So
Yeah.
if you can do a lot of that planning on the front end, will increase your chances of not only securing top talent, but keeping them as well.
So true. And I've had that before, talent that was so good that I couldn't handle them. I was trying to. It was like a hot potato. I didn't really what I didn't know what to do with them, and yeah, they got away because I wasn't structured. So for that roadmap, and I really love the idea. Actually, I'm gonna implement it in my own business. Um, would that be like a public document? Like if you reach your KPIs for 2 years, then you get promoted to that. This will be this salary increase. You will have these people to manage, and then your KPIs will change to that. Is that somewhat what it would look like?
Yeah, that's the foundation of it, right? It's basically identifying each individual role from, beginner, intermediate, and advanced, what's required skill set in each one of those areas, and then what learnings need to be mastered in order to then graduate to the next level. And then, of course, whatever salary components are in there as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's
Cameo,
very
this is
motivating for people.
yeah, that's like the path. And yeah, funny thing, I was just before your call, I was talking about motivation with one of my key employees, which is a top three challenge in the workplace. Everyone goes through ups and downs, and it's a very strong motivating factor if you can show them the route, because top people, they live a lot in the future. And yeah, that's very good advice you gave today, Cameo. The podcast has come to an end already. Where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, people can find out more about me at my website, www.atlasparkco.com, or you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter at Atlas Park Co. So I thank you so much for
atlasparkco.com.
having me. This was great, and thank you to everyone for tuning in.
Thank you, Cam. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Charles.